I'm generally not a fan of Souls-likes. I love the Souls games, but most Souls-likes simply don't spark any interest in me, because after all, why would I play something that's like a Souls game instead of just playing a Souls game again? And I had this same attitude going into Lies of P. At first glance, I thought this game looked weirdly too much like a FromSoft title. From the HUD and character screen, to Hotel Firelink and the mysterious maiden that powers up our character, and it even having its own version of crystal lizards that they somehow made even more anxiety-inducing to kill. It all adds up to an uncanny level of mimicry that simply left a first impression with me that I can only describe as weird. But after finally playing the game, I can say with confidence that this game isn't just another Souls clone. Lies of P not only replicates the Souls formula, but differentiates itself in subtle but significant ways that make it its own unique, captivating experience. I'll be avoiding showcasing late game areas and bosses, but this is your warning in case you want to go into this game completely spoiler free. The game starts off in a way that's pretty by the book for this genre. You wake up, pick a starting weapon, slash some fodder enemies to get your footing, and cap it off with a boss fight meant to help you learn the basics. In my first 2 hours, I admittedly was getting the feeling of cautious familiarity that I was worried about. This game is fine, but nothing I haven't played already. In fact, at first I was a bit frustrated with the game because I wasn't exactly sure what the combat was asking from me as a player. But then by the time I got to the third boss, something finally clicked. Oh, I get it now. To me, this moment felt similar to the first time I played Sekiro and realized I had to unlearn a lot of the muscle memory that was ingrained in me from the Souls titles. In Lies of P, much like Sekiro, I had to observe closely what the game was presenting and understand the intricate mix of offensive and defensive options available and how to utilize those options in order to succeed. In Dark Souls, I could get away with spamming light attacks in most scenarios, to the point that the right bumper on my Xbox controller straight up broke. In Bloodborne, almost all of your defensive strategy centered around iframing through attacks by constantly dodging. And in Sekiro, this was commonly the opposite, with a heavy emphasis on deflecting while only asking for other tools to be used to avoid the red kanji perilous attacks. Lies of P, however, rewards the player for utilizing a mixture of light attacks, heavy attacks, blocking, deflecting, and dodging, with each having their own risks and rewards. It all creates an interesting hybrid of gameplay styles I've experienced in those previously mentioned titles, and once I got used to it, I really enjoyed. It's not perfect, which I'll get into later, but the core gameplay here is fantastic once it finally clicks. Presentation-wise, Lies of P is an absolute treat. From the first time I saw Hotel Krat, to the rising smokestacks of Vanini's Puppet Factory, to the intimidating scale of St. Frangelico's Cathedral, the environments and locales are beautifully realized and a delight to explore. The level of detail on display here to build atmosphere is second to none, and I caught myself stopping multiple times to just look around and take it in. Also, the collectible records I found straight up gave me goosebumps. Yeah, that's one way of putting it. Also, unlike the Souls games, I felt like I could actually follow the story while playing this game. Now, I'm not saying the Souls games have bad stories, it's just nice that I don't feel like I have to watch 3 hours of VOD video to grasp the story here. There's also some interactions with the NPCs that were really touching that I don't want to spoil, but one in particular involves this whistle item that damn near made me shed a tear. Also, I'll defend Lady Antonia with my life.
I hope you're making some good memories of your own.
Yeah, Grandma, I'm making lots of good memories. There's also other little features the game has that I think are just really cool and help it stand out. One being the weapon customization system, which is simple but rewarding to experiment with. I had a lot of fun playing around with what stupid ideas I could conjure up. My favorite being this spear handle with a flaming dagger on the end that I called the caveman stick just because of how primitively simple and effective it was. Ugh, grug Pokemonster with hot stick. Gah. Now, this game isn't perfect, however. The main problem that I think is worth mentioning is the P-Organ skill tree. Think of it as a sort of secondary skill tree from your normal leveling that grants you miscellaneous upgrades like longer windows for stagger opportunities, extra charges for your healing item, and so on. The problem isn't the skill tree itself, The problem is the 2 skills within it that enhance your dodging capability, particularly this one that lets you dodge out of hit stun. Before you unlock this ability, you cannot roll out from being knocked prone at all, which leads to really dumb scenarios where you'll take a hit and take follow-up damage with almost no recourse. The game feels so much better to play after getting this upgrade, so much so that it really should have just been something available to the player from the beginning. Enemy variety also leaves something to be desired, with most of the game's grunts consisting of standard puppets or feral zombies. There were enough elite enemies and mini-bosses to shake things up that I didn't personally get too bothered by this, but I can see some players wanting a bit more variety. Also, just a personal observation, your character's run cycle animation doesn't quite match up with your movement speed, so it kind of looks like you're sliding all over the place a bit. No, I'm not neurotic, why do you ask? Overall, I really enjoyed my time with Lies of P, and it's made me consider going back to those other Souls-likes I passed on before to see if I was missing out on games just as good as this one. And if you're not convinced this game looks different enough to try, think of it as how you would compare Bloodborne to Dark Souls. They're similar, but also very different when you play each game for yourself. For Lies of P, if you give it time and weather the road bumps, you'll be rewarded with an amazing game that manages to distinguish itself from its contemporaries. See, this is Game of the Year just for this.
Feel alright.